Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 3 of season 7 of our F124 Haas driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in the land down under for the Australian Grand Prix. If you missed out on the video that went live on Monday from the Jeddah Corniche, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. 2 red flags, both of them of which were caused by Haas drivers. We got a new contract through from Netflix. Drive to Survive is returning for yet another season, so we were told that we had to make the drama in Saudi Arabia, and I think it worked quite well. We had a 4-way battle for the victory in the end as well in Jeddah, but it would be George Russell claiming his first win of the year, and in doing so now has a 9-point lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship. We move up into P4 after scoring our first points of the year with a P2 in the end. And Lewis Hamilton, his first podium. Let me just double check. Oh, he did get one last year. He got a podium at the Monaco Grand Prix of season 7, although admittedly that wasn't actually in this championship either. So technically, actually, it's his first podium since the Spanish Grand Prix last year as well. They're obviously following home, I believe it was a Ferrari one too, wasn't it? Yeah, because obviously Enzo Fittipaldi took his first ever Formula 1 victory there. But yeah, P4 for us currently in the championship then, just ahead of Lewis and Enzo as well. But as we return to Albert Park though this weekend, hopefully we can try and continue on the good run of form. We now technically have the fastest car in the sport, because at the moment we're using the scenario that basically just removes the fastest cars upgrade for one weekend. So it's going to be us that lose that here in Australia as well. Then of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We are trying to hit 140,000 subs hopefully soon. We're going to get some news about F125 as well. And also, if you want to help support us just a little bit more, click that join button for just £1 a month. You get early access to all the videos on the channel, as well as a few other exclusive perks. But yeah, with all that out of the way though, let's head to Albert Park, Australia, and hopefully we can get a good qualifying.
Hello everyone, it is time for qualifying at one of our very favourite stops on the calendar. It's Albert Park, and we're about to take the cars right up to the edge.
Well, here we are then, back in Australia, and I must admit, especially in qualifying, this circuit now, one of the wildest on the F1 calendar. It's just so ridiculously fast, and it's so weird, of course, when I go back to the F1 Ultimate Career Mode with our 1998-2007 series, kind of just how different the Australian Grand Prix is now. I like the track changes, but I still kind of miss the nostalgia of the old circuit. Of course, not long now before F1 is going to be back racing here for the season opener in 2025 then. But qualifying has never particularly been a strong point for me around this venue, so we need to make sure that we get a good lap under our belt here today. Of course, it was where George Russell's championship hopes started to get undone last season, so I'll try and attack the curves as best as we can through the chicane there. We did a pretty good line though, right the way through, and carry a decent amount of speed on the exits. We make our way then in towards the final sector, completely flat, or just a tiny blend of throttle through that third last corner there. A little bit of a lock-up through the penultimate corners.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Well, and just nudging the grass. And this is the problem with one-shot qualifying. You're absolutely on the limit, but I'm a bottle job as always. Just letting the back end get away from me, similar to what Julian Palmer did, I believe, here quite a few years ago. But we are going to be lining up last on the grid then. At least I guess it means we get to put some new components in the car. Well, there we are. George Russell will line up on pole position then, ready for the Australian Grand Prix, dipping into the 1:13s here. That is a ridiculous lap time. Oscar Piastri P2 ahead of Lando Norris there, so had we not got pole, I think we could have found ourselves somewhere inside that top 3 anyway. Leclerc beats out Porsche, who once again gets the better of Fernando Alonso by a 1/10 of a second. Fittipaldi just ahead of both those Red Bulls. Hamilton ahead of Alonso, but 17 seconds off the pace there. We were fighting for P1. I took the risk, it didn't pay off, and now we have got a lot of work to do.
Welcome to magnificent Melbourne in the Australian sun. This is a fantastic city, and it's a fantastic and slightly revised racetrack. We first raced here in Albert Park back in 1996. It's 3.2 miles, 14 turns now instead of the original 16, part of a larger redevelopment to encourage overtaking. The drivers enjoyed it in 2022. It retains the landmarks, the bumps, the challenge, but there's more opportunity to attack with those 5 corners to the left and the 9 to the right. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Teo Porcher, Fittipaldi, Perez, Sargent, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Iwasa, Tsunoda, Vesti, Ricciardo, Ocon, Behrman, Stroll, Joe, and Firestarter. That's it then. It's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Right, back of the grid. I mean, there is literally only one direction we can go from here, so try and move forward and see if we can get something out of it.
Right, well, here we are then, down on the grid, ready for the Australian Grand Prix. Fresh components in the back of the car, and I think we need to try and go aggressive today on the strategy. Anybody that's been watching our Sauber career mode recently will know that we actually tried to do the alternate strategy here, medium to soft, and it did work quite well. Apparently I'm going to have to tell the team anyway that I'm running hard compound tyres, so I think if we just go medium and then tell them we're going soft, hopefully that'll work, but it just won't let me get rid. We're only doing a one-stop strategy. We don't need to worry too much about that one. But yeah, the Sauber career mode we're doing on Mat 2 and 2 gameplay. We are mighty close to 6,000 subs over there, so any support would be greatly appreciated as well then. But it also goes to show just how mediocre Pierre Gasly is in this game. We've got the fastest car at the moment, and he still wasn't able to get inside the top 10. So I wish there kind of was a bit more movement with the AI inside this game. Hopefully for F125, we're going to see a few tweaks and changes then. But ready on the grid here in Albert Park. It's going to be 5 red lights. Mighty long hole, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go then. And let's see if we can try and get a decent run down in towards turn 1. Of course, this circuit often sees chaos in towards that first corner. As Ollie Behrman there, a little bit hesitant through that first apex. I think his teammate Lance Stroll's made up some good progress though through turn 1 and turn 2 as we will try and have a look to the inside. Oh, Behrman and Zhou there just not quite confident. I don't want to lose my wing on lap 1 there. I really don't want to put ourselves more on the back foot than I need to be here as we will try and get around the outside of Zhou, dipping a wheel on the grass as we make our way through the exit of Sector 1. And this part of the lap is hopefully going to be where this Haas car is really strong. It should be pretty good though for the Williams as well. There we go, Mark. Yep, just confirming that we have made 1 place off the start as Esteban Ocon trying to look around the outside of his former teammate in Daniel Ricciardo. Couldn't quite make it happen. Just behind him though, we've made the move on Ollie Behrman then, so trying to make a little bit of progress early on. I think Charles Leclerc then has taken the lead of the Grand Prix, so he's had a really good start. From P4 there on the grid is right up to the gearbox of Ricciardo. So we try and find the confidence to get around the outside of that Alpine. We are running a fair bit of downforce here. I kind of thought we've got obviously the best power unit in the sport. We should be able to make moves anyway. Is yeah, Leclerc then moving from 4th to 1st on lap 1. What a start that's been. Well, I'm sure Daniel Ricciardo would love to have a solid home Grand Prix here, but don't really have high hopes for him, to be completely honest, as we were now trying to look to the outside of the Australian. Oh, he wanted to defend from us, but we will do what Esteban Ocon couldn't 1 lap ago there, move our way around the outside and up then into P16. Fred Vesti, oh, just trying to defend. Whoa, Fred Vesti there trying to defend, did a good job initially, but locks up on the exit, and I guess we'll claim another freebie then. Making good progress early on, up into P15. Well, we've made very good progress early on then, and we've avoided taking too much risk at the start of this Grand Prix. As to the inside of Lance Stroll, ever trying to go wheel to wheel with the Canadian is always quite a big risk in Formula 1, but we will move through and pass another one there. And I mean, look how much front end bite we still had, despite obviously being on a compromised line. As to the outside of Yuki Tsunoda, oh, absolutely had to send it in on the brakes there. Cadence brake towards the apex. We will get it slowed down there, and another double overtake So you can already see Gasly hanging on to the coattails of that top 10, but not really able to make much of an impact early on. They seem to be swapping for the lead over and over, as Teo Porcher there still battling with our front runners. But it already feels like them progress starting to stall out just a little bit in this Grand Prix, but that's not too much of a concern. Obviously, if we can look after the tyre, we should be able to try and have a look around the outside of Yuma Owasa now, though, or down the end of the back straight there, and there we go, up into P12, sorry, right behind our teammate. But yeah, it just feels like everybody at the moment is just stuck in this DRS train right the way up to the front of the order, so... I mean, F124, if they fix one thing for F125, I hope it is this. Modders have been able to do it with this game, but Codemasters apparently can't. But yeah, it's just... sometimes it works quite well, other times it just doesn't work at all. Well, hopefully Pierre isn't going to put up too much of a fight either. We know, of course, which one of us has #1 status within the team. To the inside, we'll go there on a little bit early on the turn-in, but we will make it through. And now we are just outside of the top 10 then in this race. We're still a long way from P1. We've still got a lot of cars to get through. There's still Logan Sargent in a Red Bull. Just does not work. Lando Alonso then just getting disconnected from this group of cars in front. He'll try and go defensive on me, but we will roll the car into the apex nice and sensibly. Not taking too much risk there, but yeah, not too sure what was going on for Fernando. Just seemed to lose a little bit of time to that group in front. So Hamilton then, very, very early pit stop in this Grand Prix. I believe he is the first car in. So going to be interested to see how that strategy works for him. But annoyingly, that has dropped us at the DRS of Sargent in front. Oh, we've got yellows, Someone's breaking down. There you go, it's Logan Sargent. We'll gain another one then out of nowhere, but that just means we're even further away from the DRS in this race. And I mean, a safety car now, I think would just mean everybody is forced to box over onto a set of the hard compound. I don't think we're going to get it though, as Sargent, our first casualty of the afternoon. Will Alonso be able to get to me by the end of this back straight? No, he can't. There's a big wobble over the curbing that time round. Will we start to see more AI into the pit though? We need to extend this stint so much. Well, I can only assume Lewis Hamilton boxed early to try and get out of traffic in this Grand Prix, because at the moment everybody just seems to be a little bit stuck. Sadly, my plan to go to softs isn't going to work because the rear tyre is really starting to overheat now at this stage of the Grand Prix. So I'm going to dive in at the end of this lap. Just, you know, get off this set of mediums there. This Haas car, last year it was pretty good on tyres. This season seemed to really be struggling with it a whole lot more than I want to. There is on nudging the wall slightly. Hopefully that won't cost us too much. Definitely don't have time to tell the team to change the wing. So we're going to have to deal with that throughout the second half of the Grand Prix. It is only light green damage, so it really shouldn't make much of a difference to the car. As we'll bolt on a set of the hard compounded tyre then. There is Hamilton, who's set a new fast lap of the Grand Prix. But he must be two-stopping then, because I'm adamant he was on the set of mediums at the start of this Grand Prix. So I think Mercedes have kind of thrown away that strategy for him. But we will come out down in last place then. But Hamilton gained 6 seconds on me in the space of about 3 laps. So clearly the undercut's working. There we go. Now we're starting to see more cars into the pit lane then. So we'll get a rough idea of where we're going to re-emerge in this Grand Prix. So brand new Fernando Alonso, Ocon, and a handful of others in. There is Sergio Perez. So I think Perez, yeah, might be a bit vulnerable on pit lane exit here, as he will obviously have to try and get some temperature into his tyres as well. But he's just outside the DRS of Russell in front of him. But I think, yeah, those cars are the ones that were fighting right at the very front, aren't they? So we might be able to make this undercut work as well. Hamilton certainly has, but he needs a red flag if he wants to be able to do anything in the second half of the Grand Prix there. There's maybe a little bit optimistic about what these Pirellis can provide as we make our way out in towards the middle sector. Huge run though on Sergio Perez there. We have got a much quicker car than that Red Bull, and we will use it. All of our front runners then peeling into the pit lane. So Lewis Hamilton for the second week in a row He's going to lead a Grand Prix here and really might be able to make that work for himself. So we've got more cars exiting the pit lane then. Teo Pourchaire and Lando Norris. And the pit lane exit here is so awkward, as we will try and get around the outside of the Frenchman then and move ourselves up into 6th place. Lando Norris has got no DRS either, plus some cold tyres, so we will go steamrolling in on the McLaren man. I mean, that was quite a robust move, but we'll make it work, I guess, in the end. No warning from the FIA. I mean, that was the Max Verstappen school of driving, wasn't it? I got to the apex first, therefore he gets no room whatsoever. Well, Hamilton now does lose the place to Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri snuck by as well. But this might be critical for our Grand Prix as Lewis back into the pit lane yet again then in this race. Almost hits the outside wall as he tries to make his way into pit lane. So we are up into P4 then, as here goes Teo again, trying to look for a move to the inside of turn 1, and he just has not got the confidence on the brakes to make that happen. What we have done though this time around though is claim the DRS off of George Russell. Well, everybody is going to be cheering on the hometown hero Oscar Piastri here, but he's going to lose a spot potentially to Russell. Oh, very congested down in turn 1, and we will be able to capitalise then to the inside of the McLaren man, and now suddenly we are up into the podium places here. Only on F124 could you believe that all hope is lost in one of these races, because the AI in front are just DRSing each other, and within 3 laps, the race is kind of been flipped on its head once again. I think Leclerc, though, might just have got Oscar out of his DRS range, so I think Oscar Piastri now is going to be vulnerable as well as we make our way down the back straight. Yeah, look at that, the rear wing not opening on that Ferrari car, so we'll get around the outside of him, and look at him, which we just immediately close up to Charles Leclerc as well. How quick is this Haas in a straight line? Let's not forget we started this Grand Prix in last, and on lap 20... we're going to go around the outside of Charles Leclerc then for the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Ridiculously quick, this car. But we have still got to nurse the tyres towards the end of the afternoon. Getting to the lead is one thing inside this game. Holding on to it is a very different one. Well, Charles Leclerc then, his best opportunity definitely coming down in towards turn 1. But again, we're able just to squeeze him in towards that apex there. And again, you can see just how much the gap we're able to open up from it. That time around, Leclerc, we really did work on trying to pinch him. That's going to be our best opportunity to try and win this Grand Prix. Look at that, the gap now opening up. 1.6 seconds all of a sudden. Can we try and use this just to run away and maybe leave those cars behind to fight? Haven't had much luck here in Australia in recent seasons on this game. So to get the rub of the green today would certainly be good. Look at that then again, clearly they were listening to me. 3 laps to go of this Grand Prix, and Russell now is back within the DRS range. I think we're just starting to struggle as well with these tyres towards the end of the afternoon, not providing us with the same grip as they did earlier on as Hamilton. I mean, the strategy Mercedes gave him was pretty shocking anyway this afternoon, but he will join Logan Sargent on the sidelines then come the end of the Grand Prix, and well, that yellow flag will actually be in quite a nice spot for me, because it means we're not going to be vulnerable this time round to the AI trying to make a move. But George Russell was Hamilton's former teammate. He will now be trying to look for something as we make our way out to the back straight. As long as we get to those yellow flags, Russell won't be able to do anything this time around. But is he actually going to be able to make it happen beforehand? Yes, he does! Russell, there's so much straight line speed in that McLaren car, will swoop through and up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Still going to have the DRS on the exit. We're going to have to try and use the ERS, though, to pull back alongside the McLaren man, as he would just about try and squeeze me out through the next corner. Russell back into P1, and we've still got Oscar Piastri and Leclerc breathing down my neck. Well, had George Russell not made that error here in last year's Australian Grand Prix, he would have gone 3 wins from 3 to kickstart the year, and no Formula 1 driver ever has won the opening 3 Grand Prix of a year and not gone on to win the World Championship. Obviously, we know what happened. Russell certainly didn't win last year's world title, as here comes Oscar Piastri trying to have a look past the McLaren man as well. We get a huge load of wheel spin as we make our way in towards those final couple of corners, but I don't believe we've ever won the Australian Grand Prix inside this series. I know I won it back in Season 1 of my team, over on Map 2 and 2 gameplay. But yeah, I don't believe we've ever won this race inside this career mode then. So one more lap to go here from Albert Park. Will it be us? Will it be George Russell? Could it be Oscar Piastri? That all potentially are still in the fight for the victory there as Russell, a big send to the outside at the end of the first DRS zone of the lap there. He can't quite put the power down as we make our way in through the car park section. As we try and, I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? Trying to get the power down out onto the back straight here. But Russell, again, will get a really, really nice, tidy run. We're going to have to try and just make this Haas car as wide as we possibly can. But here comes George Russell. Here comes Oscar Piastri as well, though, and Charles Leclerc. 3 wide as we make our way through that section. Russell will try and squeeze us on the exit, but Oscar Piastri through and up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Russell has clearly got nothing left in that car either. No idea what's happening here. He'll try and go for a desperate dive. But Russell, temporarily P1, all the way down to P4. Oscar Piastri, though, just like he did last season in the World Championship, he lets others battle. But out of the final corner, will we be able to get a run on the Australian? No, we won't. He is back on top.
He has left the field in his dust. Oscar Piastri takes the win.
And I just absolutely love the scenes of that in-lap today. You could see how much this meant to the crowd, and you know that for the driver that's going to mean so much. You look up to the crowd and you know that the majority of them there are there for you today. So it was a great day to make it count.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Australian Grand Prix, and Oscar Piastri, the hometown hero, will take victory this weekend there. But second weekend in a row, we've been drag racing, trying to catch the leader towards the checkered flag. I wonder just how many times we will finish P2 this season. Charles Leclerc third ahead of Russell and Teo Porcetta with another brilliant P5. Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, Iwasa, Fittipaldi and Alonso will round out our top 10. Gasly missing out on points by just 16 thousandths of a second come the checkered flag there. Our only 2 retirements though, Hamilton and Logan Sargent in the end. Red Bull and Mercedes. What does that do to our World Championship? Well, it means Russell now has the lead at the top again, ahead of Charles Leclerc, 7 points in it. Oscar Piastri just 12 back, and well, we're up in P4 then, 20 points away. Bahrain now seems like a little bit of a distant memory, and hopefully we can try and continue getting good results. Porsche in P5 ahead of Lando Norris there. Fittipaldi, Hamilton, Perez and Sargent still inside your top 10 with both V-Carbs with points on the board, and Alonso, yeah, gets his second point of the year there. Still just leaves both Williams Alpines and the Kick Sauber cars as well. Constructors wise, McLaren with a 10-point buffer ahead of Mercedes. Ferrari just 3 points further back with Haas in a pretty comfortable P4 at the moment as well. But yeah, I mean, just trying to squeeze Russell on that last lap. I did not expect Oscar Piastri to get the run he did down that back straight when all is said and done. Thank you all so much for watching though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Japanese Grand Prix.